Hello and welcome to the World Mixed Double Curling Championships in 2013. It's the final round-robin day here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. My name is Sarah Carlson, and once again I have the honor of being joined by the lovely Dean Gemmell.
Glad to be here, Sarah.
This evening's feature game is a Group A matchup between Canada and China, and it is an important one. We have 27 teams in this championship in 3 groups. The first 2 teams will go straight through, so here you see Switzerland and Hungary. They're going to go through to the playoffs. But if Canada can pick up a win here, they could be tied for 3rd spot, and the 2 best thirds are going to go through to playoffs as well. So really important game for them. You see China at 3 and 4. They don't have a chance of the playoffs, but would certainly like to improve on their record nonetheless.
Here's the lineup for Team Canada tonight. Robert Desjardins is the male player. Isabelle Néron is the female player, and they are coached by Jim Waite.
Lineup for China, male player Yanlong Ma and female player Shina Yu. Their coach is Wei Dong Tan.
Nicely done, Sarah.
Thanks, I practiced.
Just a bit. So we see the stone caller in the right-hand corner of the screen there. Canada will be throwing red stones, and they earned the hammer in the draw to the button. And China will be throwing the yellow stones. Mixed doubles play is different than traditional curling, of course. As you might have guessed, it's doubles, so it's 2 players instead of 4. Regulation curling sheet, but each team has 6 stones per end, although 1 stone for each team is positioned before the end begins. The team with hammer places their stone touching the back of the button. That's the red stone you see on your monitor. The team without hammer places their stone as a centerline guard. After that, they'll play 5 stones each. 1 player on each team will throw the first stone of the end and the 5th stone of the end. The other player will throw stones 2, 3, and 4. That lineup can change throughout a game from end to end. Both players can sweep. We will see players throw and pursue their own rock. We will see people from the house come out to sweep. Each team gets 46 minutes of playing time, and we play 8 end games in mixed doubles. And finally, if you have a blank end, you lose hammer in the next end. Whoever had hammer loses it, so there's no advantage to blanking an end versus taking a single point.
And game is on. Canada has a chance to find the inside of the yellow one, just played by Yu Shina, and that would set them up nicely.
Yeah, this shot actually much like we might see in traditional curling, where a lead player is trying to get to the inside of a rock, freeze on it. Isabelle Néron out of Chicoutimi Saguenay area with Robert Desjardins. They earn the right to compete here as Team Canada by winning the first ever Canadian mixed doubles trials in Leduc, Alberta. This rock looks like it's going to over curl and end up on the other side of the forefoot. A lot of curl here at the Grant Harvey Center on this surface that Jamie Barassa has prepared for this event. By the guard, when you're that tight to the guard with this surface and these rocks, it's going to finish out the other side.
And in traditional curling, when a team doesn't have hammer, you might see them play a takeout here, but it's only allowed in the 4th stone in each end. So China and Ma Yanlong, he's not allowed to hit any stones. This is just going to be another freeze.
You can't even remove your own stones from play until the 4th stone has been played.
These Chinese curlers play in Harbin, about 600 kilometers north of Beijing.
Like to lock it right in between these rocks like he just has. Now Canada has a decision to make on the 4th stone of the end when they can hit, and it's a less than favorable situation. Robert Desjardins can certainly throw it hard. We'd probably like to see him run something in or play the peel, wouldn't we?
Definitely, we've seen that so many times. If you don't throw the hit or the peel right now, it's almost like you're committed to drawing or freezing for the rest of the end because you just don't have enough stones.
Apparently Robert Desjardins is going to be so committed. The challenge becomes expanding the scoring area outside of that very tight area they are in right now, tight around the button and the forefoot. So when you have last rock, the challenge becomes expanding beyond that area in order to score a multiple point end.
I guess if he could come just to sit in between these yellows, he could then try and play a shot to squeeze them out both sides and maybe spread some things around.
Yeah, he should be able to spring his red off the yellow that they just froze to, so he can definitely rearrange this a bit. Spoke to Robert Desjardins after the team's win over Russia, and he did talk a lot about how it was certainly learning a bit from this different format and how some of the teams in this event only play this. And he said they might only have 1 or 2 shots in their bag, but they make them all the time.
China can now start creating some trouble for Canada.
Some big trouble here right off the bat. He did get some contact with the stones in the forefoot and in the button area, but he didn't get as much action on the back red as I'm sure he would have liked. And that the angles are not as bad as they were, but they're still not very good for Canada, and China can take things away with this shot.
Yeah, this Chinese duo, they qualified out of 21 Chinese teams, so they will have played some games.
21 teams playing down in China is almost as big as this event.
Yeah, definitely. And Yan Long Ma was also in the World Juniors in 2011, playing second. So they also have some experience with being Team China.
Well, their record puts them in the middle of the pack. Their statistics aren't are better than that, aren't they?
Yeah, they are actually. Yu China is ranked third amongst female players, and Ma Yanlong is ranked 9th. Do you have a theory to why that might be?
Well, I guess if one player is 9th, that might indicate some missing at times that don't work for you. With one player ranked 3rd, you think they might have a slightly better ranking. Or they may just not be making the right shots, as we see so often in curling.
It could actually just be coming down to tactics. The Canadians are ranked 16th and 21st, but they still have a chance of making playoffs, so maybe they're just playing smart.
Perhaps. Does not look like a positive look on Robert's face as he let that go, but maybe it's getting better. He's going to join the sweep here. They're both going hard on this one. Saying hard for line. They definitely want it. Robert telling the Chinese team that he touched a stone there but didn't think it moved, a stationary stone. He's not particularly happy with that result. The weight was close, but the line was not good, and now China is lying 3.
3 or maybe 2, depending on how good that back red is, I believe.
Sorry.
But they are definitely looking good to steal right now.
Can identify the coaches on the bench behind the players. Jim Wade is the one with the penguin. The Chinese coach is the one without a penguin. That's one way to
identify them.
Identify them.
You could also look at their team jackets.
Or their faces and figure out who is who. Jim Wade, a longtime coach. A lot of people have seen him behind Canadian benches before.
Won't really change anything.
No, the top is still available. There are the coaches. We chatted with both of them before the game. I think they've faced each other on the coaching bench before. Certainly seem to know each other.
And apparently that penguin works as a good mascot for Isabelle Néron, so it will tag along.
So Robert is going to try to top this up. Might be able to sit second shot. I don't know if he'll be able to get shot from it.
Doesn't look like he's able to get shot. It's the red one is slightly angled onto the yellow one that's top of the forefoot.
And I think it'll be critical as to where his shooter ends up. He's indicating he has more weight than he might like. And probably more line as a result. I don't think that's going to finish enough to make contact.
No, and Ma Yanlong can actually sweep it all the way through. They're going to guard. The question then is, will Canada have left?
They will have a difficult task, I think, to score one.
Or maybe to even try and only give up one. Yu Shina gets ready, making sure her shoes are clean. You don't want a stone that picks, and you definitely don't want to pick yourself.
Exactly.
Might be a bit deep with this. What angles is she going to set up?
Desjardins in position to sweep. It appears the top is still available, and they might have actually made it a tiny bit easier to cut for Canada to cut China down. I think any contact with that Yellowstone should cut China down to 1. If there's enough contact with the yellow to move the red slightly. Asking for a 3, I don't really.
Last stone of the first end. Can Canada and Isabelle Néron limit the score for China, or even get one in there themselves?
We've seen Isabelle Néron get her intern started a little bit sometimes, but I think she has better line here.
Yep, really good shot, and only 1 for China.
I think the Canadians will breathe a sigh of relief there, as they were in danger throughout that end of giving up more than 1.
We actually have some other really important games going on, especially the one between Hungary and Italy, where Italy with a win could actually make it to 5-3 as well, although I believe they have lost to
both Canada and Russia.
So they might actually not be in the mix, but they are playing Hungary. Hungary off to an early lead. They got 3 points in the first end. Switzerland playing Romania. They got 1 in the first end. Spain scored 4 on Korea in the first end, so they're looking good over there, although none of those teams really in the mix for tiebreakers or playoffs.
So we'll head to the second end here. Canada giving up that steal in the first end. China will try to lock their first stone onto the red counter at the back of the button, the place stone. Ma Yanlong out to sweep. They rearrange the order. Yu Shina goes to the front, and Ma Yanlong takes the rock. A little short, but certainly the preferred position if you're going to be miss than to chop off and be heavy.
What's good about being short?
Well, certainly in mixed doubles, in the same sense as traditional curling, you're always better to be in front of the tee line, typically, almost always. And especially with that shot, you certainly can use it when it's in front of the tee line, and you can't use it when it's behind. Becomes an asset to the other team when you put it behind the tee.
So that will mean that Isabelle Neuron is also looking to be in front of the tee line. Coming from the other side here.
Calling hard for line. This is that intern that starts to curl. She's by though. She's going to move this. It's actually a really good shot.
Yeah, really good. And that yellow is no longer in the usable position in front of the tee line.
Now it's a good rock for Canada. And great line tight on the guard, able to move that. See how China can answer. They're playing the freeze. Same freeze they played on their first. They'll hope to get just a few feet deeper and lock one on. And try to cut down the scoring area. Yu Shina doesn't think it needs a brush at all.
She looks to be right. It will come all the way down.
Tops it just a bit, but stays on a good angle on it. Let's hear what Robert Desjardins thinks of that. So Robert is going to throw hack weight at this rock in the top 8 foot.
Could give them a really good result if he can move that yellow.
Even if he spills the yellow just to the side of the 4 foot there, starts to build up a wall in the back. Leaves his shooter out in the top 8 foot. Isabelle suggested that she would call line on this one, so we'll have to see if Desjardins is quick to get after his stone. He plays skip normally. I don't know if he's always that enamored of sweeping. He's after it though. And it's curling. Really needs to stay on the high side of this, and I don't think he's going to. Now they're peeling the guard, which isn't the worst result on that shot.
No, the center guard was definitely favoring China. So they now have a decision to make if they want to be aggressive, maybe replacing a guard, or start to maybe take away some red stones.
Well, they're going to try to corner freeze on that high red, which acts as a guard and gets another counter there's in the rings. Certainly a viable strategy. They could play the guard, or they could come right down to the one they just threw before, try to freeze another one on top of it. What they don't want to do here is be a little bit heavy and bounce off that high red stone.
No, that would definitely leave them in some trouble. With no guards out there, Canada can start to make a move in the house.
I believe Ma Yanlong is sweeping this primarily for weight.
Doing the typical mixed double twirl.
The twirl, players trying to simulate what we do with two players and switching. They're switching the side they're on as the stone travels down. Certainly makes a lot of sense if you believe in switching in traditional curling and switching which player is sweeping next to the rock, depending on how the rock is traveling, whether you're resisting the curl with the sweeping or trying to promote some curl.
I got back 8 out of that. You will be the French expert.
I'm not sure I got a whole lot more than that there, but I like listening nonetheless. I think I stopped at back 8. I have been better. I was better, I think, with the French team today. Team from France, but a little bit less, I think.
French team is a team from France?
The team from France, as opposed to the Canadians who are from the province of Quebec, is what I was trying to indicate.
I think we can understand, though, that with back 8, he's looking to tap the red onto the yellow and shake them loose, the angles a little bit.
He might have said a little bit less as he got in the hack, but I don't know if he threw less. Nothing. Got to get it past that. He's right. You don't want to leave that in front. Fortunate to push it past the yellow like that and not leave the angle right onto his own red. Desjardins struggling a bit early here. So the Chinese could guard, but I believe they're going to bring another stone in. Freeze one in.
Yes, they are.
I like that play over the guard.
Yeah, Canada can, well, it's not easy, but they can reach the yellow from both sides, either via the one that Robert Desjardins just pushed in there or straight to it. Can't guard both, so better just put another one in there.
There will be there is an in-off too off their own stone, the high stone on the left-hand side. May not be one you want to throw this early with, but they only have 2 stones remaining. This rock seems to be curling hard, losing rotation, and it's going to be short and over curling, and certainly gives Canada an opportunity to get at the yellow stone that's almost touching the pin.
If you have any questions about mixed doubles or about the game, you can post them on Twitter. Use hashtag WMDCC2013. We will read them, answer you as good as we possibly can. If it's tricky, I'm just going to ask Dean.
Well, we had Ian Tetley earlier today, so I couldn't quite remember if he was a 3-time or a 2-time world champion. I had it right.
I believe it was a 3-time world champion.
Yeah, I had it right initially, and then I somehow thought it was 2. I forgot about one of those world championships. I'm sure he hasn't. Ian played second in every one of those. So Desjardins just looking to push this rock probably just to the back ring. I think you can see a thick half or so of it from the hack. A makeable shot. Calls no early as Néron comes out to sweep.
It is Néron doing most of the sweeping on Desjardins' stones.
Now I think he's trying this, but it's going to go right through the hole. And a missed opportunity there. And Canada in danger of giving up another steal of 1 here. Called the sweeping on late, thinking that they might be able to get a rub off either that guard or the lower one, the one that's in the rock that's in the half in the top 8, but it was too late for that.
I think if China's going to guard this Do you think they might want to look at the other side? If Canada can get to their red, I mean, it's not easy.
They can see.
With the angle, I think the yellow's going to go out that side and they could maybe score two.
Would probably be for two. It does look like it would go cleanly across that red, doesn't it? And the one they hit would probably catch on the Chinese stone that's just outside or just touching the 4-foot on the left-hand side. But they're going to guard this. Isabel Neron is already back, ready in the hack. Not so sure that's the best approach on the last shot. I think it might be helpful for her to have a look at this. She's already at the other end.
Robert Desjardins is left by himself to figure out what the wisest call is here. It doesn't look easy actually with China, even when they come down deep.
I think Desjardins is electing to play a hit on the open one and give up, at least limit the damage to one in this end. If they were lucky enough to get to the inside, they might be able to push it through. And now Neron is going to make the trip down the ice to have a look at it herself.
Tu n'avais pas de shot pour un, tu peux juste l'enlever. Non, je sais, non. Je voulais juste voir s'il était deux, puis si c'était dangereux, ou où je peux frapper. C'est pas grave si j'arrive dans rouge en arrière, là. Ben, c'est pas grave, à moins que ta jambe parfaite. Fait que c'est mieux de la pogner un peu à l'intérieur. C'est rien que ça, je voulais savoir pour le corps. Ben, tu peux même l'essayer ultra mince pour deux. Et là, tu vas voir les deux. OK. Ça, si tu as fait 4, t'as la pogne bien mince, ça peut faire toc-toc de même. Non. Moi, je pense que ça vaut pas la peine. Non, moi, je te dis, je vais coller pour pogner. Colle le nez. Inside du nez. Colle le nez. Tu peux pogner ici, là, il n'y a pas de problème. C'est juste pas mince ici, là-dessus. Colle, frapper le nez. Si je pogne en dedans, est-ce que c'est mon bord? Non, c'est pas ferme. De là, alors, tant que tu pognes pas les minces ici. Quel poids tu veux la jouer, Isa?
Perhaps not complete agreement here. I think they see a couple things that aren't bad.
Are they just nose-hitting this to give up one?
I think they believe if they nose hit it, they can just give up one. I think they're basically conceding one at this point. Not feeling that that thin double is there, although it might be. If they got to the inside. Hit both rocks almost simultaneously. Uh-oh. Oh dear.
What's going to happen with this last stone of the second end?
Afraid not much good.
Nothing.
So that will be 2 for China. A steal of 2. Isabelle Neron with a less than fortunate moment for one of her less graceful slides. Robert takes a deep breath. Just slipped right here. And then try to make the falling shot, the one you often make when you have that happen to you in the club.
Surprisingly often, actually.
Yes, surprisingly often in club play.
You just get that extra focus. But difficult one when you're not in your sliding position, and China with a 3-0 lead early. Hungary is also off to a good start. They're leading over Italy 4 shots to none. Switzerland 3 shots to none over Romania. And Spain is leading the game over Korea 4 shots to 1.
So China takes their 3-0 lead into the third end.
Yu Jina, you see there, she's 27 years old. Started curling in 2003. So that will be her 10th year. She has represented China. Best result perhaps the bronze in 2011, where she was the alternate.
You know that World Championship fairly well, don't you?
Well, I do, because I won it. Well, my team won it. A good first stone by China.
Iran has to collect herself after her last miss. Both Canadian players really struggling here so far, and the Chinese playing well. This has a lot of weight, but they're going to spill. It's actually a really good shot.
Tell us what you like about it.
Said this before, we've discussed it before, but we do like to see the scoring area opened up outside of the 4-foot. And despite the fact that China remains shot rock, the fact that Canada has spread their stones to the 8-foot and the 12-foot, and they have last rock in this end.
And China is not allowed to hit them yet.
Yes, suddenly Canada has. While it may look innocent enough right now, they have a good end going. Chinese would like this one top 8. Second shot ideally, but top 8 sort of closes things down more than the straight freeze does. And if the shot is made, Desjardins and Néron will have to start to think about whether they play a hit, make a play on that guard, or make a play on something in the rings. This is almost going to curl out the other side. He's top 8, but I believe he over-curled.
Looks like Canada can see quite a fair bit of that.
I think they could make a play on it, and even if they jam the Chinese stone on the button, they'd lie 2, 3, 4.
I think that would be a wise call. They are going for the one on the button, but that would leave China that stone in the top 8-foot, and certainly a very usable position for the Chinese. So maybe just taking everything a little bit too deep here if you're Canada.
If Canada makes this shot, China could play the raise on their own or make a play on this rock that Robert Desjardins is delivering right now. Seen a lot of this. He's struggling a little bit, I think, with perhaps a release that's more positive than he'd like. It's starting to finish. Saying nothing right now. China can certainly play a hit now, though. So
they can.
And if they were hitting, if he had played on the high yellow, they'd have to worry about jamming the red if he left his shooter there, if they were to play a hit.
Now it's just going to go.
And really, they're left with a double and a roll.
To set 3?
Set 3, the perfect roll, rolling right in line with those, I think. Or even just touching the center line with it.
Ma Yanlong can really get the pressure on for Canada.
Must be close when the sweeping is off and on. But actually not that close.
No, he played it a lot harder than I thought. The roll seemed more important than the double. Maybe he just had a double in his head and he gave it a bit of extra weight.
And unfortunately for the Chinese, I believe they've rolled for 4th shot.
See the Russians walk by in behind there. They will be watching this with some excitement. If Canada wins, they are going to have a tiebreaker for 3rd spot in the group. And if Canada loses, they will be third and have a chance of making the playoffs.
Guess the yellow Chinese stone in the top 8 foot is actually fourth shot, but the other one is third shot. So Canada is lying second shot. They need, I think, to open this up and figure out how to make that, have an opportunity to make the one in the back come into play. But that seems difficult now. Robert playing the straight draw. Certainly working hard on it. It's not a bad position. Might force China to make a play on it. Unfortunately, it does make it difficult to access the shot rock that belongs to China in the back of the 4 foot.
I think they were talking about either angle freezing, guarding, or slashing it by the look of the ice.
I'd say that's a guard or the freeze. The in-turn from Ma Yunlong. This has a lot of curling to do, which may indicate it's a little heavy. It's starting to move now, though. Ooh, did he line it up?
They lined it up in the first end, and I think
they may have lined it up again.
They just helped Canada out here one more time.
Didn't line it up quite perfectly, but I think it is lined up.
I
don't know if Desjardins is looking at that, though. Perhaps he's worried that if he makes it, it will be easy for them to make it right back.
If he could make this double.
The double's certainly available and would leave Canada lying 3 if he can stick it. And the one he sticks would be behind staggered rocks.
Ouais.
Je pense que ça bougera à peu près pas. Je tirais à peu près comme ça. Qu'est-ce que t'en penses?
Ouais.
On est sûrement un peu, mais... Un petit peu.
Touch more ice, a little more.
Ouais, bon pour contrôle.
Desjardins up and after it.
Non. Oh non, 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 ça colle pas du tout, du tout, du tout.
Le roule au moins?
À peine, même pas. OK.
C'est Christy, ça... Ouais, OK, fait que ça c'est clair, les hits, c'est... Ben là, c'est qu'on veut frapper.
And what will this leave China?
Well, they can just rip that out, keep the shooter at the back and lie 1. Leave Canada the top for 1 again. If they could ever get inside this and roll over just a bit to reposition the red rock that is currently lined up on their own, certainly be a good shot. Don't know if there's enough room to do that.
Okay.
Of course, if they did that, they would risk perhaps rubbing on the yellow, but if they could ever get a little inside and take away the top, Canada will be hard-pressed get shot rock.
I think the coaches are actually just sharing some information there on the bench.
They look to be doing that. China, of course, is eliminated from the playoff round at this point, but they can win a game here and keep Canada out as well.
Shina Yu looks like she's up for that task right now. Take out to only leave Canada a shot for 1. Looks like they're playing this with a fair bit of weight as well.
They are. Well, mission accomplished, I guess.
And Canada can now either tap or actually make the double to score 2.
The in-off for 2.
Il l'aime pas? Je vois le tap. 2-9?
Ouais.
Pense comme ça, serait proche.
Robert indicated the double for 2, and Isabelle Néron prefers this tap.
So are they tapping?
I believe they're tapping. Yellow, red, tap.
Last stone of the third end. Chance for Canada to get a point in this game.
Hack à bombe.
C'est là.
Hack.
Wow.
Hack to bombe.
Need to have some contact with that stone. Just enough. Curled up just enough with hack weight. Score 1.
Three ends played. China is leading this game 3 shots to 1. They will have hammer in the fourth end. Hungary has got a big grip over Italy, 6-0 over there. And Switzerland, Romania got 1 in the third end, so score is the same there. Switzerland's leading 3 shots to 1. Finally, Spain took a 3, and they have a big 7-1 lead over Korea.
So we'll start the fourth end here. 8 end games in mixed doubles. Canada down 3-1. Feel like they might need to steal here, go into the break within striking distance.
If you want to steal, this first stone is really important.
Yep, la ligne. Yep.
Calling sweeping for line.
Back line. Yep.
Desjardins says it's heavy,
Yep.
but this could be trouble if they split the guard with backline weight. I'm afraid that's exactly what they're going to do.
And where would we now like to see China place their stone?
Well, they're going to go around the corner guard, which is a call we haven't seen a whole lot of.
No, there certainly seems to be a lot of stones around the center line and makes doubles curling.
So they changed the call, and they are going to go around the center, the rock that's just off the center line now, the initial place stone. We'd like to see it top 8, top 12 even.
You leave quite a big room for scoring. If you come down too deep, it might give an opportunity for your opponents to freeze your points away. Looks like this has got some curling to do, but it's coming down.
Finish now, and the question is, can they get it into the rings? I think it's going to just bite the top 12. Probably a little higher than you'd like, because it does make the in-turn draw certainly accessible.
Desjardins suggesting the out-turn. I'm not sure it's
There.
that easy. Big curl there, so if they go, they're going to need to go really tight
Asking for a
by
little
the red
less.
guard.
Looks really difficult to get through there, the way this ice finishes.
This might just be one of the occasions where Robert Desjardins would have benefited from being down in the house.
Having a look, this looks like a very narrow port. It's staggered the wrong way.
Swing. Swing. Come on.
And he does wreck on the high guard. I think his feeling there was that maybe pressing just a little bit for a really big shot. I'm thinking that if he could hook it in there with the out turn, he'd really put the pressure on China.
And China can now make that in-turn draw go away if they can get one in here. If they can get buried, say top 8 foot, there's no real good way for Canada of getting into the rings, actually.
Yeah, they've now left those guards, their rock staggered on top of the yellow Chinese stone in the top 12 foot. So they really shut down the outturn side.
Big scrub to get by the guard first, though. He might be on it, actually.
I think they may be all over it. So the intern is certainly available now. Still available. If you look at the line of those guards, it seems fairly natural. Asking for a little more ice.
It's definitely going to curl. You don't even need to be very tight to the first guard.
This is Desjardins' second rock of the end. He'll have one more after this before Néron will throw the last.
Now they're both sweeping.
The conversation indicates it's not heavy.
The line is looking really
Line
good,
is
though.
good. They can get by all of them.
Really good draw.
Sorry, I stopped the clock. She touched the rock a little bit, this one. She was sweeping, and she touched it a little. It was going to go by, I think. What do you think? She just did it barely while she swept it.
I don't think it moved much, but it might have moved in here.
I just wanted to make sure, you know, we're friend.
I think they were fine.
You okay with that?
Robert Desjardins just letting everybody know that Isabelle Néron touched a stone a tiny fraction so that the umpires and the Chinese team can make a decision. But they decided that she didn't move it and they were going to be by either way.
Good for him, because I imagine he was the only person in the arena who detected that. I don't even think Isabelle Néron detected that. So good for Robert to point that out and have the discussion. Of course, it's always best to curl with a clear conscience.
That was a really good shot to make sure it's difficult for China to score too. They're going to make a play on the guards here to try and open things up and maybe even get some movement on that red if it's possible, which I'm not sure it is.
Yeah, it appears that they'll clip the red stone that's on the right-hand side of the center line, the closer one to the center line. Appear they clip that and not get any action on their own stone, just behind it.
Big extension from Ma Yanlong, maybe even a bit in out.
Almost pushed that one a little bit underneath the corner guard, which would have been a nice result for China to open that up and put their own behind the corner guard. Canada has 2 stones remaining, as does China, but Canada will throw first. Desjardins can move the red just slightly.
Juste raise de rond, on peut pas se faire mal ben ben. Celle qui est ouverte, non? Je sais pas.
He's already at the other end, but on his way back, he was discussing this shot, the angle raise.
Dis-moi où mettre le balai, parce que je sais pas qu'est-ce que tu veux jouer.
I like the fact that they're not playing it with too much weight. You certainly don't want to pick your own stone out of there if you don't get the right hit.
Love to be able to get shot after this. I don't know exactly how that's gonna, if he can pull that off. Have to hit it just perfect to do that.
Close! Whoa, close! No, 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 no! Reste proche, Isa! L'autre rouge, Isa! Come on, hard! Oh, no, no, no! Go, 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 go! Whoa, whoa! Sit.
Wow. Certainly a useful stone for Canada now, though. It's lined up directly with the Chinese stone in the back, so if Isabelle Neron gets a chance to hit that top red, Canada might have a chance to steal.
And I think China might need to guard this and then try maybe the in-off on their next. They don't want to leave Canada the chance of playing that.
So it looks as though they will play the guard.
I mean, even if they take one, they will have a 3-point lead. Looks like they are agreeing.
I believe they are in agreement. It was a pretty fine shot by Desjardins. He had a guard earlier in the game that overcurled, so he's going to want to make sure he gets this one out to the broom with a fair amount of rotation.
We often see the Chinese teams, both in men's and women's curling, taking quite a bit more ice than the other teams. They have really, really nice deliveries, but they tend to have more curl. As you see, they were all the way out to the edge of the 12-foot, and this
truck is going to overcurl again.
So Isabelle Neron will have a chance of sitting shot stone.
Desjardins thinking control works. She needs to hit just about what she can see from the hack. She can't see a lot. Imagine she can see a quarter rock.
Oh, it's thin.
Thin quarter. Bumper weight. Barrier weight if we were Scottish. I'm not sure what it is for the Chinese.
For a while I thought he yelled bomb, a really hard one, which wouldn't make really any sense. So barrier weight.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Desjardins sort of groaned as he came out.
Yes! Whoa! Yes!
Oh, so close to making it.
It didn't need to be off that at all.
And is that stone going to help China? Could they roll in of it?
Off for just a moment. Oh, I don't know if that would have made the difference.
I think they're drawing.
I think they're going to play the straight draw and try to get enough of the button to count 2.
They are counting 1 at the moment. They will take at least a 3-point lead into the break. Yu Jina can make it a 4-point lead right here. I'm wondering if they changed the call. No. Last stone of the 4th end. Needs a piece of the 1 foot to score 2.
Close.
Close and twirling to get it there.
Just needed to curl up a little more. Maybe another 8 inches of weight. So it's 1 for China as they will take a 4-1 lead into the break. We'll take a short break here as well and come back with a recap of the first 4 ends and then look at play from the last half of this game here on World Curling TV.
shot. One ready, yeah.
Here's a recap of the first 4 ends of play in our matchup between China and Canada. In the first end, Canada elected to concede 1 by making this tap. China was lying 2. Isabelle Néron managed to tap in another Canadian stone for second shot. In the second end, Canada was trying to hit and cut China down to 1 again. Isabelle Néron stumbled coming out of the hack and threw that one less than ideally. And China stole 2 to jump out to a 3-0 lead. In the third end, Canada had this tap for 1. Had to go yellow-red onto the button. Isabelle Néron threw about hack weight and clipped just enough of this yellow to push the Canadian stone to shot rock. So it was 3-1 for China entering the fourth end. In the fourth end, China was trying to draw the side of the button for 2. They were already lying 1 as Yushina went to throw her last. Swept hard here, trying to get a little bit of finish. Not quite enough. So China took 1 in the fourth end to take a 4-1 lead into the end we see now, the fifth end. And as we start play here, we could talk quickly about the other sheets.
We sure could. Hungary has a 8-0 lead over Italy. Switzerland is up 4-1 on Romania. And Spain is up 8-1 on Korea.
So some big scores here tonight.
Now, of course, Switzerland and Hungary are already through to the playoffs. So the really big game here is if Canada can beat China, they will play Russia for third spot. And the 2 best thirds will also move on to quarterfinals.
So 8 teams in all in the playoffs. And the 2 best third place teams join the top 2 teams from each pool. So a good opening stone by Yushina. Almost frozen. Not angled slightly.
Isabelle Néron would like to angle it to the other side, so they're playing the out turn.
Pour l'instant, il y a de la place. Yep, la ligne est belle. Yep.
The line is beautiful, according to Isabelle.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Just go, 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 go.
Parfait.
She'll leave that just touching the top 8 foot. Stone that Canada may be able to use later.
China freezing another one on here. This time with Ma Yanlong and his first stone of the second half of the game.
It's important for him to keep this one short rather than bounce off. Ma Yanlong indicating he has plenty of weight. And it looks like he does. If he bounces off, he will give Canada an opportunity to make a play on that and perhaps create some action on the rock that's currently shot in the button.
Would be good if they can get some movement on that one.
Desjardins asking for a bit less ice. So he's going to throw this hard, I would imagine, judging from that ice.
Even if he wants to pick the guard in this occasion, that would certainly be fine.
Yeah, if you remove the guard, China wouldn't be able to guard all of it, and they could go to work on the rocks in the rings. Desjardins hoping to have a better first half, or second half, than his first half. Begging this rock to curl.
He will roll on top. And it's a lonely yellow, but it's one that's difficult to remove.
Is lonely, but locked for at least 2 shots.
And it's just a perfect line.
And
I wonder if China is actually just going to guard this. I think they're going to come down with another one, but they're risking just setting up some sort of angle that makes it more difficult for, or that actually makes it easier for Canada.
You know, nothing to the side of this straight line grouping we have here. Canada's only way at it is to run something at it. A staggered guard here would certainly help China.
They are going to try and create that in the house by angle freezing the top red. Would certainly be fine if they're short here.
Ma Yanlong indicating he has plenty of weight again.
Well, he is sweeping.
Cleaning. Now he's starting to go. His rocks are finishing hard. Well, he's actually going to leave it guarding the intern a bit, but maybe one that Canada might elect to use. Now, we interviewed Desjardins after the win against Russia, and he did talk about the fact that other teams have far more experience playing this format, and I think sometimes he actually does appear to be trying to think his way through it. He's an accomplished curler, skipped in the Brier, the Canadian Men's Championship, the Tim Hortons Brier in 2012, and played third in it for Quebec in 2011. But he probably hasn't played as much of this format as he has traditional curling. Well, he surely hasn't.
No, and now he's going to run down the center all the way down. I think this is a good call.
Yeah, I do like the straight back here. A lot of action too in a row, so we'll see what happens. And I don't think much, unfortunately, for Desjardins, who's starting to get frustrated.
I think China might just need to replace the guard.
Yeah, I don't see what benefit they have of coming in tighter again.
No, it will just make the run easier.
Yeah, the high guard here is perfectly fine. Line is everything, of course. If they actually certainly went on over curl and allowed Canada a chance to make a play on their own red. The benefit for China is for Canada to remove their yellow. They're also going to get rid of at least one of their counters, the back one. Down 4-1, Canada could really use at least a 2.
Now they need to drag it further in order for it to curl enough.
Starting to finish now. Not enough. I mean, Canada will be able to get to the nose of that red. Like that, Desjardins says he would like the red that's just in front of the button to spill to the left on the screen. If you can bear down on this shot. Essentially the same shot he had on his last, but with one fewer rock to move.
And not as all the same amount of separation between them.
And China lies one, but it's one in a position that if Canada does have a chance to get after it, it will leave early and quickly out of the rings. China needs a guard here.
And they would certainly like to leave it high. The closer they come to the rings, the easier the run back will be.
If they make this guard, Sarah, what sort of shot do you see for Canada?
Well, could Canada even use the yellow one? No, that's guarded too.
Of course, if they don't get this guard a little bit under the other one, Canada could run their guard in.
The question is what's going to happen if China manages to actually get the guards staggered a bit.
Yeah, ideally for China, they would cross the center line just a bit with this and show Canada only half of that high red, or a quarter of it.
I guess that yellow one on the left-hand side could maybe also be played into that pack of reds for Canada to bump the yellow one off the button. Looks tricky.
I believe this stone has plenty of weight. Starting to dig in now.
Oh, it looks quite good. They won't be staggered. The run back will be there, but it's a long one.
It's a long run back for sure. Of course, they could play it with the yellow that's a little closer in on the intern side.
I think that's the one that Desjardins is pointing to.
Angle doesn't set up quite as well, but it's shorter to make contact with that high red. Isabelle Néron suggesting bump. Desjardins doesn't think that's enough weight. I think he's right. It's a lot of rocks to move.
Over a big distance.
Each one losing energy. So I think you need at least control here.
Last stone of the fifth end. Bigger weight from Isabelle Néron to try and run a yellow onto three reds onto a yellow.
Her line is close. Just over curling.
And it will be another steal for China. They will now have a 4-point lead with 3 ends to go. Canada will keep hammer though, and we've seen big scores before. It could happen again.
So we'll see that single point for China go on the board. China with back-to-back steals. Or, no, with another steal, not a back-to-back steal. Back-to-back singles.
And smiles. They look like two happy Chinese players out there right now.
The official situating the rocks. Each official has a slightly different technique for getting these rocks into the place, don't they?
Well, they do, but as long as they get them right, then we know that they're doing a good job. I think the way they look doing it is up to them.
I think I like this official's technique the most of anyone. By the handle, she sets it up.
And right now we have two excited Russian players watching the webcast with us. I'm sure they are anxious to see how the game progresses.
I think you chase them away. Unnecessarily, really. They're welcome to watch from here. This is a mistake.
The first one that Canada is going to need if they want to score big.
Maybe the first end when Canada has been presented with such an opportunity, actually. Yushina has been very good with that opener.
She sure has. But this time it is Isabelle Neron to apply pressure. Looking for a 4 foot, 8 foot certainly would be where the tolerance is. I mean top 8 foot rather than back 8 foot, of course.
Desjardins likes the weight. Neron's going to join him. They can get it right there. It's a good shot. So I believe the Chinese will try the same shot as their opener, only with 2 Canadian stones in there now, lying first and third. Initial Chinese stone is second shot. What they don't want to do here is catch any of that stone that Isabelle Neron just placed there and bounce off. They'd have a better result if they even came to the inside corner of their own and didn't get to the red stone that's on the back of the button, particularly considering the scoreboard.
They are 4 points up. You might even see them start peeling after this, but they're not allowed to hit anything yet.
See, we haven't seen many teams try to peel out a game at all. It seems the best defense is to continue with offense, and that's a good shot.
It really is by Ma Yanlong.
And Desjardins and Neron seem a little frustrated because it seems whenever they make one that's reasonably good, the Chinese have answered. Desjardins slowly shaking his head.
You see it again, our Twitter hashtag. If you want to post things about the event or ask questions, it's WMDCC 2013 World Mixed Doubles Curling Championships. So they are playing the outturn here. No, the intern, I'm sorry. What are they hoping to achieve?
Well, I think he's hoping he can get, maybe even be fortunate enough to get to the yellow that was just delivered there and move it a little bit, or just corner freeze on it. He doesn't seem happy about it, that's for sure.
No, it's not bound to look good from the hack.
No. You know, and they started this end. They get a bit of a miss. They make a shot that you might score as a 3 out of 4. And all of a sudden, China answers with a great shot, and they're in trouble, Canada. Hard to maintain momentum in mixed doubles, it seems, from shot to shot.
Hard line! Hard line, yes! Hard!
He's cheering her rather than joining her.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple of times.
Okay, not bad.
And it isn't the worst result, but China can certainly deal with it.
Yeah, they would love to hit this and roll to the inside. They could maybe even pick the one on the button.
Yeah, they could make the double, but in mixed doubles, you sort of wonder if that would be an advantage at all. Making the double would actually free up their stone. I think the roll inside, right, and sit corner frozen on the other Canadian stone just slightly deeper in the 8 foot.
Even if they just nose and miss the one on the back, that would be really good.
Right. They would be in what we've come to call the control zone in traditional curling, and certainly the control zone in mixed doubles curling as well.
I think she's telling him not to miss it wide.
Perhaps it's a little more positive than that, Sarah.
I'm sure she was.
Okay.
I think she's suggesting that he throw it as well as he's throwing everything else this game.
That certainly would be a good suggestion. Really good game for Ma Yanlong.
If he just crosses the face of it ever so slightly, he will end up with a stone in a great spot. Big cheer for something. We'll try to fill you in on that in a moment.
We can fill you in on the fact that Hungary has beaten Italy 11-0 after 7 ends.
So that's the end of Italy's playoff hopes.
And he's not going to miss this wide. Ma Yanlong with a good shot. Does leave the in-turn draw for Canada again, but it's not an easy one.
He rolled about a rock further perhaps than he would have liked, but it's still a terrific shot. And leaves Canada without a lot of good options with 3 rocks to play for the Canadians.
Elle vient juste s'accoter de côté, puis qu'elle attend jusque-là, puis qu'on tombe un 2 là. Qu'au moins on mette celle-là shot. Je vois pas quoi est-ce qu'on peut faire à part ça. À moins que je frappe là, mais pas trop de poids. C'est de garder les 2 rouges dans le rond.
I think the cheer from sheet A was a score of 2 for Romania against defending world champion Switzerland.
Switzerland with a 3-point lead still in the 7th end. They're up 6 shots to 3, and they are already through to playoffs. Robert Desjardins facing the same tricky draw as he did with his previous shot. And there's that face that he tends to make when he's not 100% happy.
He doesn't have a poker face, Robert Desjardins.
You think it would be useful to have a poker face in curling?
I think it can be useful.
Do you use it?
My poker face is not so good either. Fortunately, I think it probably would have been beneficial for them to rub that one just a bit.
Leave themselves a stone that they can make a play on.
Yeah, the way it sort of is half buried. There's really no good angles for Canada in there now.
I think China is feeling content with leaving Canada the score of 1. They're going to guard the in-turn side.
Canada's best hope might be for China to leave them a guard that gives them a better angle on that red. Second to last stone at the end for China. Ma Yanlong after it. Cleaning, really, just cleaning. Hard clean for a little bit. So you're going to bounce off it slightly. Stagger it.
Definitely not leaving the angle that Dean was talking about. Canada with 2 stones left to play. China with 1.
Not a lot of good options for Canada. The way that guard actually left those 2 staggered worked out really well for China.
Idéalement, il faudrait réussir à venir pousser elle sur ça, comme ça, là. Mais...
On peut rien qu'y aller par celle-là.
Ouais. Ouais,
c'est direct sur le nez. Sur le nez avec fond maison. Ah, ça peut pas être trop fort, sinon la jaune va spinner shot.
I'm not 100% sure about what's going to happen here.
I was just going to say that I'm not 100% sure of the shot they're playing, except I guess with top weight trying to move that red that's just biting the top 4.
I think they're just getting themselves into more and more trouble.
Just seems as though Canada is missing the shot every end that would give them a chance to score multiple points. And with each passing in, they need multiple points more. Oh, he was trying to come to the nose of that. Did not. I'm not even sure that China isn't shot rock right now.
No, I'm not sure either.
We said that Canada was, that they were conceding one before, but I think China may be shot. And Desjardins is starting to look like he would like to go into the time machine and go back about an hour and 20 minutes. Start again.
Only real shot is on the in turn. China is on a mission to take it away from Canada.
Canada could play an in-off that red that's way over by the sideboards.
That would be an exciting call.
May not even be there. It may be too steep.
Would be there for one, I would guess.
Angles are just all in favor of China right now.
After Ma Yanlong made that freeze, they've just been in total control.
Yeah, Yushina missed with her first freeze, and then Ma Yanlong took the whole end away with a great one.
This is not going to be a miss, though. It's going to be a good guard. Very high. The draw might still be there. I think the problem isn't the guard for the draw, it's the red stone top forefoot.
I don't know if they can top that. I think Desjardins thinks they can get enough of that red to tap it as he's illustrating.
I am not sure that this is there.
It may be there, but I also believe it's really difficult.
I think they're just going to hit this red too thin all day.
And in addition to the problems they face in this end, Canada's also running low on time. They have 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Still enough time, but they have to play 2 ends of curling. And they probably will end up with about 9 minutes to do that. Enough time in mixed doubles, but not a comfortable amount of time.
No, 4.5 minutes per end. Well, they're only throwing 5 stones, I guess.
First order of business would be to try to get one here and not go down 6-1.
Last stone of the 6th end. Once again, Canada in trouble. Now being called off.
Have to get really tight to that guard. Will it finish enough to get any action? And that's what you were talking about, Sarah, just always too thin. It is one China. One yellow, and another point for China goes on the board as they go to a 6-1 lead. And Canada will have exactly 9 minutes left for the remaining game, for the remaining 2 ends. Frustrated Robert Desjardins. He's run into a bit of a Chinese freight train here. These Team China playing really well.
And making the right shots at the right time.
And if we looked at the stats of China, it certainly seemed like they had a game like this in their bag.
Yeah, they seem to have been curling really well all through the week, actually. Surprised to see them not making playoffs.
The Penguins on the Canadian bench will need to bring some magic now.
I've never seen a Penguin bring magic to a curling game.
Neither have I. Magic Penguin. Well, they brought a little magic in their game against Russia. But I think in that game, Canada just played better. China has put rocks in the right places and left Canada with difficult angles all game.
I guess 2 ends, 5 points. It's looking good for China, but it's not impossible. We've even seen teams score 5 points in one end when they're down.
We saw Norway score 3 to win a game in the last end with China often gets 2 sweepers on the stone. Seems to be a real advantage.
Yeah, you would have 2 sweepers in traditional curling to help you out, so might be a wise call if you know that the stone needs to be swept and it's not really important with the line call.
I mentioned one of our first webcasts, Jerry Gertz at Curling Zone. His sweeping stats indicate that when players are playing well, they use their sweepers 30 to 50% of the time the stone travels down the ice. So if you can get 2 sweepers on it, you might only need that 30 to 50% of the time.
Somewhat tougher numbers for Isabelle Néron, 55%.
Oh. Not much else could go wrong for Canada. Burned stone from Desjardins.
Well, you want to use your sweepers for the right amount of time, but you want them sweeping in front of your stone.
Yeah, without touching it. Desjardins kicked that stone to the other end. Obviously frustrated. Mayan Long has played really well this game. Made a big freeze in the last end to set up the single point.
He's going to be looking for the freeze again. Looks like the line is nice if he can come by the second one. And he will touch it, actually.
Canada, if that can get such a thing as a break right now, that might call that a break. They're on a bit of a misery tour. Of course, bouncing off like that actually makes the freeze a little tougher again. He really doesn't want the freeze. Would like this to be top 8 foot. If you could half bury it top 8 foot and start to present some possibilities.
I think after this, I probably would like to see China start to peel. They are up by 5 points. They really don't want to create some sort of mess here, or let Canada create the mess for them.
I mean, they can certainly give up 2 or even 3 here and be comfortably in control of the game. What they can't give up is a really big number. What Robert Desjardins can't do is put this one deep. They are going to freeze China.
Yeah, well, with that being quite deep, it could actually be a good defensive call to freeze it. It could come to the inside of it and push it out as well, I guess.
I think it's up 6-1. I might favor the hit and roll, but
just like that.
Endorsed by Yu Shina, but Ma Yanlong didn't favor it, so they'll play the freeze.
Okay.
Maybe you should just say that if you have a bit too much weight on your draw, we can rub off this one.
What's your Chinese translation? I think it was probably accurate.
I just have a feel, a natural feel for the language. That is not a good feel for the draw, though.
No, and that reinforces our thought that it might have been a really smart play there to play that hit and roll, at least get rid of 1 Canadian stone.
We also have another game finished. It's between Spain and Korea. Handshakes over there. Spain will be the winner. Final record for them will be 3-5.
Sergio Vez and Aranzo Garcia, we saw them score their big win, the biggest win in Spanish curling history, I think, when they defeated this team, the Canadian team. A very exciting game early in the week.
This one's hanging wide as well.
This looks heavy and wide.
Just going to freeze to the back one.
If you can get inside, would certainly be advantageous. They're going to freeze again, China. Playing without fear. Of course, now if they play the hit, they would jam, and not. The roll would actually probably jam that Canadian stone that Desjardins just placed there. Probably jam it on their yellow. Probably. Although they could just play a straight double with some weight here. Spill everything.
Well, he's not listening to you. They are playing the freeze.
Well, and they are up 6-1 on the scoreboard, so there's no reason to start listening to me now, I guess. So if China gets this in here with another freeze like Maya and Long did in the last end, I think we might see an end unfold just like the previous one, where Canada will be hard-pressed to get more. Well, they'll be hard-pressed to get more than one in this case.
Now we're getting some twirling. Changing side to promote the curl.
We're sweeping for line, so we probably should have been twirled to the other side. Lock that on for sure.
I'm not sure if they're second or third shot. Neither are Canada.
Peut-être deux. Pas sûr. Peut-être deux.
Je pense qu'il faut passer bien proche du garde, faire ça. Pousser celle-là là. On va avoir un hit ouvert sur celle-là après pour plusieurs points. Fait qu'il faut se tirer juste T-line mais que je rase le garde.
Isabelle Néron
Back four. Ah,
indicating
m'enlève-en un dégât.
to Robert Desjardins that she thinks Canada's lying 2.
Encore.
5 minutes and 40 seconds for the clock on the clock for Canada. You don't really have a lot of time to talk about the shots.
Enlève-en encore.
Penguin is now facing the other way.
Correct.
They had the other penguin last night on its back. I don't know where that one went to. They might need that one now too. Perhaps that penguin is getting a well-deserved rest. Barely making it through the game last night. Here comes Robert Desjardins. Not exactly sure what he can accomplish with this. He's going to...
T-line.
Doesn't want to free up that red.
Backy.
Yeah! Yeah!
Backy.
Yeah!
Backy.
Dans le garde.
OK. OK, c'est pas si pire.
Desjardins doing all that he can to remain positive here. Well, Team China will have a look at these to see who is second shot. They might start to consider just guarding this up.
Do you think they may be trying to tap the yellow in?
They could play that. Certainly wouldn't be a bad play. Even if they were to cross it and push it into the 8-foot, even crossed over, it would certainly make it, again, more difficult for Canada to get into the 4-foot to lie either second or third. We're not quite sure. They're going to have another look at these two stones. At some point, it's not worth looking at if you can't decide like that. I think they are playing the tap.
No, they might even been playing like hack weight or something at this, judging by the ice that they're taking.
It's not a lot of weight.
Are they just guarding? Yeah, they are guarding that.
With what we think was not enough ice, but maybe they're guarding the other shot. Guarding that tap, and I don't know if that was really necessary.
Canada's going to draw the in-turn. They could sit 2, maybe 3, depending on who's the best of that yellow-red combination.
I would suggest the officials could make their way down to the measure right now, to be honest.
Yes.
Yes, this is the last stone of the second of the 7th end. Canada needs to score big here.
Desjardins has dropped right off this.
It's on the guard.
It's all over the guard.
Now question, is it 1 or is it 2?
Well, I don't think so. We'll measure.
1 for sure, and the measure.
I think Robert Desjardins is starting to think about the banquet. And can hardly blame him, actually. It's just a game where Canada hasn't played particularly well and not have anything go their way. So,
No, some games are just like that, and Canada's definitely having one of those days.
we all have them. We've all been there.
Just tough to have them when you have a chance of making the World Championship playoffs.
Here comes our measure.
En rattrapage, en voulant voler quoi?
Of course, if Canada is down 3, we certainly have seen steals of 3 this week. But the way that Team China is playing, it seems unlikely. Canadian Redstone. That's going to be, wow, 2 for
Really
Canada.
close, and 2 for Canada. First break of the game, really.
I think Desjardins was convinced it was only 1. So Canada could steal 3 and tie the game. That's certainly more doable than the steal of 4. In fact, it's more doable by 1 stone, isn't it?
Yes, but still a big difference. And they have just about 4 minutes left on the clock to do so.
They do have a call for the coach when they can stop the clock once, so they will have that to use.
And only 5 stones. Should have plenty of time.
Isabelle Néron, first stone of this final end in this final game of round robin play. It's the last game on the sheet.
Yes, yes, la ligne, yes, 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 yes.
And this, in fact, maybe, unless this end goes their way, could be the last stone Isabelle Néron throws for Canada.
It's definitely not what they needed.
China's going to draw.
They would love to be able to hit right now, but they're not.
They could, of course, consider the tick here, or the weagle. Move that red guard over.
有点小，
这样够了，
擦一擦，擦一擦，后面减速快啊！
这样够了，
哦，
这样够了啊！
哦，
It is an advantage when you have last stone in that you can hit with your second stone of the end. So
No.
the 4th stone of the end is the team with last rocks. Of course, is their second.
She will put it in a nice spot.
Yes, you're giving not making any mistakes. That's for sure. Haven't made a mistake all game.
I think Robert Desjardins is going to need to try and tap this back a little bit.
Once again,
I think this is a situation where it won't be long before he's going to need to
Attends,
move this
right
back and then
sa curl.
have some more magic from the penguin and a few other things go their way.
Yep, nose it, c'est go. Nose it, c'est bon. No, yep, okay.
We'll leave that one at the back. Now China's quickly out to peel that center guard, or are they?
Oh, they're looking at hitting the one in the house. I think
Oh,
they might want to take the guard off, but
拿前面找，拿前面找。
They could make the peel with the out turn and pick off the one in the rings as well. Slash it.
it is the guard that they're going to make a play on.
双飞也可以啊。
China eyeing up the angles onto the one in the house. Yeah,
Quickly
hard
after the
before he's
field.
left his hand.
Did catch it about midway down, even with that big weight. And there's the double, and the shooter rolls over off the center line. Canada with 3 stones remaining.
They are gonna need to steal with 2 of them if they can make that one in the back count.
They're going to need to steal with 2 of them.
Vous les cachez derrière le garde.
Jim Waite's going to have to hide one and bring it out later.
Ben, celui-là, c'est bon. Je peux jamais laisser l'enlever.
J'avais compris autre tonne cachée.
OK. Celle-là, on
China
peut
could-
cacher. On peut en rentrer une deuxième
Ah,
après.
je suis d'accord. J'avais pas autre tonne cachée. Je fais sniper.
Desjardins laughing a bit as he talks about the fact that he was hoping to roll over and get behind the guard, and Neron was not quite on the same page. China could even just hit the open one, but they're going to make a play on this one.
One lonely stone coming down the ice. Oh,
Oh.
almost got the double.
If he chased it, they might have been able to hit it thinner. Would have been risky to try to hit it that thin for the double, but almost made it.
Ouais, frappez ou les cacher.
Push now Canada with only 2 stones remaining to throw and no place to hide.
Moins large.
Robert Desjardins with what I imagine will be his last stone for Canada.
Encore moins.
Has to be feeling a little
Ouais, tu vas rester dans le
dispirited.
rond.
They had a good game against Russia. Thought they'd given themselves a chance to get into at least a tiebreaker. And then tonight just didn't have the game they were looking for. And ran into a Chinese team that looks as though they should have won a lot more games the way they played tonight, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. They're having a great game, calling a good game and executing even more. Just need to make this final stone go away. Ma Yan Long, and they will win the game.
Desjardins has already put his gripper on. And there it is. China with the victory. So China will win that game 6-3, closing out Canada in the final end. Canada needing to score steal 3 and not really getting close. Handshakes, and there's the line score, 6-3 for China, a game they controlled from the outset. Sarah Carlson will be down speaking to the Chinese team after their win, and we'll be back here with a recap of the last half of this game. So here's a look back at the last game of round-robin play. In the fifth end, Isabelle Neron left with a long run back. Try to score for Canada. Over curls just slightly and fails to get the action she needed on the Canadian stones in the forefoot. So a steal of 1 for China. And that put them up 5-1. In the sixth end, Canada never got the angles working in their favor. Neron was left with this nearly impossible shot to try to wedge her red stone onto the Chinese counter. Another steal of China. Another steal of 1 for China. Took them to seventh end. Canada needing a big score. They were here lying 2 when Isabelle Neron went to throw her final draw. She was tight, and it came up to the guard there. So Canada had to settle for 2. So they headed to the final end. China leading 6-3. Canada got their deuce on this measure. Actually looked like China for second shot, but it was Canada. So we headed to the eighth end with China up 3 and really just needing to run Canada out of rocks. This was the last one from Ma Yanlong. Just needs to make this Canadian stone go away. He does so, and there are the handshakes. So a disappointing effort, or disappointing game for Canada. The effort was there. Nothing went their way. And China played extremely well.
A really good final win. What are you taking with you from this World Championship?
Oh, sorry, pardon?
What experience are you taking with you from the World Championship?
Just slowly. Okay. 他问你们说非常祝贺你们最后一场一个非常好的一个胜利。问你们在这一次世锦马赛中有什么经验和体会？
首先呢，在这次世界锦标赛中呢，学习到很多，也是在接下来需要自己练习的，尤其是在小球方面，需要自己更加的努力。
First, we learned a lot in this competition, and I know we have lots to make promotion, promotion, especially for angle, side angle, right angle.
Are we going to see you back next year?
他说希望你们能再回来吗？明年。
如果有这个机会，我明年还会再来的。
For sure.
And what would be your goals then, Shina?
他说你明年的目标是什么？
明年的目标争取进入前8名吧。
Try to go to playoff.
Well, thank you very much. It was very fun watching you today, and good luck with your next season.
他说非常感谢你们来，希望你们在下一个赛季还能见到你们。
谢谢。
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.